Hello, welcome to my political news opinion review of major news from October and November of 2020. This series is where I provide some opinion and coverage to major news stories from the previous month, or in this case, 2 months, though this one includes 2 months, as I said. This is done to provide the people with a method to hold myself accountable as I act in the capacity of a politician. Which, speaking of which, since this one is later than I would like to address that. So, I have, in the past 2 months, of course, been going to college. And while I have been able to post videos during college before, I have had increased difficulty due to the COVID-19 pandemic relating to all of the policies in place in how to deal with going to college, as well as my responsibilities as treasurer of SGA. That being said, I will be trying to get back to the one video a month format, which is why, even though this video is late, I was not willing to allow December to be lumped in to this as well. This is done to provide the people with a method to hold myself accountable, as I act in the capacity of a politician, after all. This is essential as the people need to know my reactions to what is occurring around us, and to ensure that everybody is able to keep track of current events. In this video, I will talk about the following news stories: Donald Trump's tax records, COVID-19 outbreak at the White House, Amy Coney Barrett confirmed to the Supreme Court, the 2020 election, and potential COVID-19 vaccines. Donald Trump's tax records were finally released publicly. Revealed was that Mr. Trump has not paid taxes in 10 of the past 15 years. In fact, the famous IRS audit that Trump attempted to use as a reason not to reveal his tax returns is due to Trump claiming a $73 million tax refund in a single year. This appears to be further confirmation of Trump's poor business acumen, as not only has he bankrupted the majority of the businesses he has run, but each year he claims to have lost larger amounts of money than what he made. This also appears to show Trump's brazenness to break the law, as is obvious from the public obstruction of justice that has occurred over the past 4 years. He is committing tax fraud against the United States federal government. It should also be noted that despite the donation of his presidential salary back into the federal budget, these donations have been net negatives for most programs in which funds were cut prior to the donation, or overabundance with the donation not being required. While this is not a crime, it should be noted that Donald Trump has continued to cheat the American people out of money they deserve to have in various government programs. Due to failing to take the coronavirus seriously, Donald Trump, alongside many White House officials, have contracted COVID-19 over the past few months. However, due to the power that those individuals hold, they received platinum-level health care under government-funded programs, which allowed them to recover. What should be noted is that, of course, death is not the only concern related to this virus. COVID-19 can also cause lasting and possibly permanent damage to the brain, lungs, or other internal organs. I do hope that everyone in the Trump circle who have contracted the virus will avoid these severe consequences. And I hope they actually make changes to their lifestyle based on science rather than what is politically viable, despite not happening yet. We need universal COVID-19 healthcare to ensure that everyone that falls victim to this pandemic, made worse by the government of the United States, will be able to get the healthcare they require, and that those in the White House were privy to. Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed to the Supreme Court, as was vastly predictable. This continues to show the deeply partisan nature of a body that was meant to be nonpartisan. Amy Coney Barrett's nomination was constitutional, though hypocritical for the Republicans who voted to confirm her. With Trump appointees making up a significant portion of the Supreme Court, alongside other conservative justices, many cases viewed as settled law may now be open for reinterpretation by the Supreme Court. While it is too late to save the current court, I do not enjoy the ideas of court packing or setting a limit on the life appointment of Supreme Court justices, though it should be noted that justices technically do have a limit to, quote, times of good behavior, end quote, in the Constitution, not explicitly lifetime, so it is open to be reinterpreted as well. I believe we should amend the Constitution so as to limit both liberal and conservative influences on the Supreme Court. There is no perfect system. As such, I believe that the best we can do is a multi-partisan body, allowing a commission in which each political party represented in the United States Congress are entitled to an equal number of members, with the Chief Justice presiding, to nominate 3 candidates for an open position. We will then also allow the process to be democratized through the election of one of the 3 candidates by the voters of the United States. Barring these candidates from accepting campaign contributions from any organization, barring political parties and political organizations from endorsing or running ads for or against any candidate, and holding the election as a nonpartisan election. This will not be perfect, yet it ensures that the candidates are multi-partisan and democratizes the least democratic branch of the federal government. Of course, in early November, the 2020 general election was held, in which Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump to become president-elect, with Kamala Harris as vice president-elect. However, Donald Trump would refuse to concede and claim voter fraud, and file various lawsuits alleging that the Biden-Harris win was illegitimate without any evidence. Personally, I voted for Gloria La Riva, a write-in candidate here in West Virginia, following the decision to not vote for either major party candidate after the awful first debate, and deciding not to legitimize the rigged Green Party primary by abstaining from voting for Howie Hawkins, who was otherwise a great candidate. The lawsuits filed by Donald Trump and his campaign have repeatedly failed due to a lack of evidence or incredibly weak standing. Trump appeared to also be using the Electoral College system to perform an undemocratic coup through use of faithless electors, or having legislators appoint Trump electors despite Biden winning the state. Without the coronavirus pandemic and resulting influx of absentee ballots, Trump would have little standing in the court of public opinion as well, since results would have been declared earlier. Donald Trump had previously and inaccurately indicated that whoever was winning on election night was the winner. But unfortunately for him, that isn't how the election has ever worked. News organizations have just predicted winners on election nights, but Trump managed to convince his cult to believe that these calls were final, despite the fact of how the 2000 election went. The 46th President of the United States needs to work incredibly hard to try and be able to eventually unify the country, with Trump hopefully fading out of the political public light. However, that is unlikely even if Trump isn't a candidate due to the cult that he has formed around him. Despite this being important, I am more concerned about Joe Biden's approach to climate change, as it is an emergency and his leadership will determine whether we make the life-threatening deadline or not at the end of this decade. The older generations have shown they don't care about the future of this planet by the people they support, and as such, this is going to be difficult. Let me have a planet to be a father on, please. After months of research and global accelerations, various companies have created vaccines they believe to be effective, including some here in the United States. Under our current healthcare and pharmacare systems, these companies are set to make millions, likely billions, of dollars off of these essential healthcare tools. Also, anti-vaxxers I have already addressed you numerous times, and just know whatever evidence you have has since been disproven or was not scientifically accurate at all in the first place. Many progressives have called for these vaccines to be free for all and distributed universally, taking steps toward a better healthcare system and acknowledging the taxpayer money already used in funding the projects. I agree that this is how it should be and would be what I pushed for in any negotiation. As I would be negotiating with capitalists, I believe a way to ensure affordability under the current system would be to agree to a deal in which the vaccine is discounted by the portion of taxpayer dollars used to fund the project. This amount is, of course, massive, and so if properly enforced, the price would be kept properly low. However, it should be free. Please like this video, share it with family and friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, making sure to hit the bell icon. Please also check out my social media, which some of them have different handles now. Instagram @Lopez for Change, Twitter @Lopez for Change, Snapchat @Lopez for OakillWV, and Facebook, facebook.com/Colby.Lopez.12, which all should be linked in the description. Please stay safe and de-stress. I'm Colby Lopez, and I approve this message.